I think this week it would be 17. Yeah, maybe not hours, but normally it's a little bit less. And then of course the day, yeah. Take it off. The Monday wasn't that. Saturday.
Margaret said she was ready for rest.
Yesterday I just let her do her Walking Dead.
That's what she said.
I said, are you the Walking Dead or the Walking Dead?
I think both.
Guys ready? Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Anybody else like to say a prayer? We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Ashworth?
Here.
Mr. Hazlett?
Here.
Mr. Zoller? Mr. Litherland?
Here.
Mayor Brown?
Here. Approval of the minutes from the prior meeting.
Motion to approve. Second.
Vote.
Mr. Zoller is absent. So, Mr. Litherland?
Yes.
He would have voted.
Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Ashworth?
Yes.
Mr. Hazlett?
Yes. And there is no public comment this evening. Administrator's report, Ray?
Okay, I know it looks long, but I'll go quick. Anyway, events and recreation, of course, we got Ice Fest going on right now. Good report on crowds last week, looking at the initial traffic counts. They look pretty good. I needed to compare it to the weekend before and to see really what's going on. But we had just on Sunday alone well over 10,000 cars come into town. That was just on Sunday. And I hear that Saturday was even greater number of people, but from the counts,
It's probably about the same, I think. I thought Sunday was busier.
From the traffic counts, it was.
So did you say we had a count from last year, or you don't have that?
I don't have both weekends for last year, but we'll get that when we wrap everything up. We'll let Steve comment. Anyways, more ice arrived today, and there will be more carving scheduled to be completed before this weekend. The Gas and Roll C-Store has found...
Excuse me, Ray.
Sure.
I just had a couple comments on
Go
the
ahead.
Ice Fest.
Yeah.
I kind of take an informal poll on my people when they come in. If I have
Sure.
time, we were a little busy down there too,
Yeah.
which was great. The crowds were phenomenal. Some of the comments I fielded were parking, of course, not a lot. We all know that was going to be a problem. There was some concerns about, mostly from locals, stopping traffic at 5th Street. I agree that we should keep doing that, and I explained to them, at least in my mind, the reason we do that is when people get to 4th Street, they got to turn right or left, and we had almost a steady stream of pedestrians.
Yeah.
And is that pretty correct? That's why we're doing that? And it would have created a bottleneck probably up to the Gas and Roll. Some people were a little bit not disappointed, but their comments were they thought there'd be more carvings.
Yeah, this year, I think at this point we're down, and one reason is because they've had 5 carvers in the past, and they've only got 3 carvers this year. And while they committed to taking up that slack, those 3 carvers, they kind of got a little behind, I guess because of the weather, and they didn't want to get too much put out there because of the impending weather. That's why more ice came today, and marketing assured me that they should be out there carving tomorrow. So while it is unfortunate, and I think the main comments have been big crowd, fewer carvings.
Yeah,
So do we know
but they
why-
did comment that the carvings there were pretty spectacular. So
They are.
also, how many porta potties or whatnot, and where were they? Does anybody know that?
There was some behind the beer tent.
I never got down that
Oh, no,
far.
were they up on this?
Steve with Public Works. There are 4 at 2nd and Bennett on the north side of Bennett.
Okay.
And then there are 3 or 4 right down behind the tent, kind of. There's
Still on Second Street?
Still on Second Street.
I don't know if we even have a space kind of in between where we could put maybe 1 or 2 of those. I'm not saying we need to increase the number of them, but, or maybe down there wasn't enough, I don't know.
Is what we have this year typical?
I don't track that. That would be a marketing thing.
Well, let's look into that, because that's a good.
If they could throw a couple more on, I know it's gonna cost us a few bucks, but
I know there's normally one just across the street,
that'd be a good
kind
spot.
of beside the city's parking lot.
Yeah, it kind
There's
of makes sense,
normally
it
one.
kind of makes sense, because
With the
that's
chopper
closed
here,
off.
that
That's closed
Vietnam
off anyway,
chopper,
right?
we had a lot of people
Yeah,
here.
so if we had Porta John set up over there, and I agree, I mean, it's not gonna be substantially more money, but
No.
but to tell people, yeah, go over by the train station, we've got some over there, that's a long haul.
Anywhere else on Bennett is not a good spot because of the
Sure.
sculptures, because of the food, and that kind of stuff. If we could get them on Third, I was thinking about that. There's not a real good spot on Third. City Hall parking lot, because it is closed, might be a spot for it. But
And I've done it in the past, and it just got by me this year. I'll put a big sign in my window that says, "Feel free to use our restroom." I've always open.
I'll check and see if you need a permit.
Those were the only comments I had. What's that?
I'll check and see if you need a permit for that sign.
I think there is a formula on, so many, Porta Johns for.
Can't win.
For how many people?
Yeah. I don't know where it's,
That's all I had. But great crowds, good job.
So do we know why there was less sculptures?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We had three sculpting outfits come in rather than 5 this year. And part of it was because I think of some of the problems that had happened in the past. I think I'm not sure of all the details, but they elected, the ICE committee elected to just bring the 3 back this year. And there's 3 were supposed to be able to take up the slack and have just as many ice carvings. But I know when I talked to the marketing department on Wednesday, they were running a little bit behind the carvers were, and they were concerned about the weather and whatnot. So that's why they're making it up. They should be out there tomorrow carving. And so while this weekend will be better, it would still have been nice to have a full street last weekend too.
Be nice if we could get the word out. I think we did a little bit to the news station saying, hey, we got more ice and more sculptures for next weekend.
we have been getting a lot of media cover.
We have, it's been pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah, there were a couple blogs in the Gazette that, you know, we came up here and wasn't much to see, and other people going, oh, good, I'm glad we didn't come up, so it kind of hit us a little bit, but
Yeah.
we'll work through it.
Somebody was sharing, it was the Hitchin Post down there saying that people came in there, and they didn't complain about the number. They said they'd been up Longmont or somewhere, and they said this was much better.
Oh, good.
What they did there.
Good.
Anything else on that? Okay. The Gas and Roll C-Store opened up this weekend. Paul and some others kind of jumped through some hoops to get signatures on the permits and whatnot. So got that, and I guess there's still the official ribbon cutting, I guess, for this coming Thursday or Wednesday.
Next Thursday, the 25th.
Next Thursday, the 25th. Couple of us, Councilman Ashworth and I attended the Teller County Cares Award ceremony up at the Heritage Center last Tuesday on the 9th. It was very well attended. I mean, it was packed, and the Heritage Center and that group did a good job getting things set up. I think the Wildwood catered it. Forget who catered it. The line was so long for the food, I just had coffee. And then would have been longer, probably could have been another establishment serving, but
I like to think so.
yeah. And then there was a long list of well-deserving recipients. But there was no stand-up comedians this year. Gus Thomas didn't
You
get
didn't
it.
say anything?
No, I said
Mary
that.
kind of,
Yeah, that's right. Mary did. Mary Beals
Close.
got the Centennial Award or something. I told her she didn't look 100, but we'll get over that.
So there was a stand-up comedian.
Well, I was sitting down. Anyway, and, we talked last time about the permit amendment 11 for Cripple Creek and Victor Gold Mining Company, and how they were planning on submitting an amendment to the amendment, which they did, which means that the comment period now has been extended. Assuming it got in the paper today, which would have been the Courier, assuming it got in the paper today, they'll advertise for 4 consecutive weeks. Then there's a 20-day period to when comments have to be in, so that would take it to March 29th. So I'll be looking at that permit, looking at the amendment to the amendment, see what's going on, and assuming that you all, once you review the comments, you want to submit them, city staff will go ahead and submit those. City council members attended the annual Colorado Municipal League legislative update last week in Denver, and of course met with some legislators there, got some updates. The governor gave a speech, kind of the state of the state speech, and then while we were there, a bill that Cripple Creek is actually sponsoring this year in the legislature. It's Senate Bill 16-73, and while it may seem kind of insane, I don't know how many people have asked to be audited. Cripple Creek is asking that that the state auditor be allowed to audit the 3 gaming communities in Colorado, and as far as how the use of historic preservation funds are being used. We think that we're doing quite well, and we're staying within what the voters voted in and expected in 1991. We just want to make sure the other 2 gaming towns are spending those monies like they're supposed to be. Oddly enough, without this bill, the state auditor cannot audit us for the use of state funds, those particular funds. It's kind of an odd thing. And so to us, it's a transparency bill. And there's a couple reasons why we want to do that, is make sure that the funds are being spent properly and wisely, and to make sure that the voters know that we're spending them properly and wisely. So if another initiative comes up, which it likely might before November, another ballot initiative to try to expand gaming in Colorado, that the people will know that these 3 gaming communities are above board, and they won't say, well, they're wasting money anyway, let's just go ahead and make gaming happen in Pueblo and other places. So that's another reason why we're doing it. But anyway, Mayor Brown, Paul Harris, Finance Director, myself, we testified before the Senate Finance Committee in support of the bill. Blackhawk got up and in support of the bill as well. They want an amendment to it, really an amendment that would just change, put a sunset clause on, like after 10 years, that if the auditor doesn't find anything, that the bill would die, but it could always be voted back in. And then it passed today on the 2nd reading before the Senate, and it needs to pass a 3rd reading before the Senate before it moves to the House of Representatives for approval. That'll happen in the next several weeks. Tomorrow, unless you all tell me not to, I'm scheduled to give the update for Cripple Creek at the 4th Annual Teller County Outlook. That'll be held at the Ute Pass Cultural Center in Woodland Park. Starts at 7:30 tomorrow morning, so I'll be going directly to there in the morning. I'll be finishing my presentation after this meeting, so it'll be fresh in my mind for the morning. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about this year. Last year, the term we used last year was cautiously optimistic. We were talking about, there was talk of a convenience store going in, and so we saw that the numbers for 2015 with the gaming industry and even sales tax were positive. The C-store has gone in open. We've had several businesses open, so I'll be just kind of listing off some of those businesses that have gone in over the last year. And I didn't bring the list with me, but if you just think about it, we've got, of course, the convenience store, gas station has gone in, the auto repair store, Borriello's Brothers Pizza, Beer Works. There's talk of another pizza place, Borriello's or whatever, expanding down on Bennett Avenue. New owners of the Cripple Creek Candy Store. And so all of those point to people having faith and encouraged by the economic outlook of Cripple Creek. So I think growth spawns growth. So that's kind of the message I'll be sending. And the last thing I want to talk about tonight, we talked about it late last year when we put out a solicitation to businesses of the owners of existing buildings in town for solicitation for a possible relocation and upgrade of our police station. We sent those out. We got a few bids back, and really any of the buildings that were offered, the ones that kind of fit what the need would be were really expensive, like $3 million. And so we decided, because, the thought was if we could take a vacant building in town and repurpose it, that's better than, it could be better than building a new building and still having a vacant building. Well, while it was a great idea, it was a great idea because I thought of it. But it was an okay idea, it didn't work out. But Chief Rouleau had looked around the city where we could put a place. Councilman Ashworth had mentioned out by Public Works before, and while we do own land out that way, utilities become an issue, and even access. I mean, now you're talking, okay, do you have the police out there on an unpaved road and that kind of stuff, and there'd be more maintenance on that road, the cost of paving and all that stuff. But anyway, Chief Rouleau identified a place that the city owns the property, 1.5 acres, that sits between the state road, CDOT fenced-in area just below the Gold King Mountain and the Gold King Mountain. There's sort of a slightly graded place over there that's 1.5 acres. Just to see what some options were, we invited a group that's associated with the University of Colorado in Denver. It's the Colorado Center for Community Development, and it's a program called the UTA, the University Technical Assistance. And that's what I gave before you tonight. And what they do is this group from the CCCD work with students, design students, architect students from the University of Colorado, and they work with the Department of Local Affairs to provide designs, which is about 10 cents on the dollar of what you would pay another outfit. Now, they don't do final construction drawings. What they do is they do the conceptual drawings and layout and give you an estimated cost of what it would build and then what it would take. They also help facilitate public meetings to make sure that the public understands what's going on and to try to build support for the project. And, well, first of all, see if the community wants it. Well, I don't know whether the community wants it, but I think the community needs this, okay, based on where we are. Any of you that have been in the police station voluntarily and walked through there know that it's kind of a cramped area. If you've gone in there involuntarily, the place looks cramped. But anyway, if you look at this, to do the scope of work, which is basically do what I just said, to hold a couple public meetings, larger meetings, and then even talk with the people that would be more local, that would be more impacted by that, plus provide a design plus cost of it, an estimated cost of that, which that packet then becomes part of grant applications that you can submit to the state and others for the building of this. To do that, they partner with Department of Local Affairs on that. So the cost to do all that was a total of $5,500, of which Cripple Creek would have to put up $2,750 of that, and Dollar would put up the other 50%. So that is really economical to do. But what we haven't done is we've talked about it with the council casually. This is the first time some of you heard about this particular site. What we haven't done is we haven't had a public workshop to get public input and really to sit down and look at other places. I mean, I'm just looking at it on Google Earth and other things at the city. What would be a good location for something like this in the city? I don't know all the property the city owns in town, but I personally think that we should have at least one public meeting. We'll announce it and say, here's what we're thinking about doing. What are some pros and cons of various sites? Or is there only one site in town that we want to consider, which is this particular site? But I don't want anybody to think that this site's being shoved down their throat. I did contact the Wildwood, since they're the closest to any of that, and said, what do you think about a police station being right up the street? And General Manager at the Wildwood had absolutely no concern about it at all. And so he's all for it. There are several things to consider then, in addition to just the police station there. Is you put a police station there, there's talk of a possible another hotel there, you've got the convenience store. Now we've got to start looking at logistics for traffic, and so there's other things we might want to consider there that I've spoken with Steve, and Steve is all in favor of. And one thing I was talking about is a possible roundabout there, and there's pros and cons to those. but all the big tourist cities have them, guys. Anyway, so I gave you that packet to look at. They also provided one of these for us for possible downtown parks and stuff as well. So anyway, if you just want to review that, I would suggest we have, if you're in favor of it, a public workshop before our next city council meeting on the 2nd, and then we can get this moving, assuming we come up with a decision. If it takes a second public workshop or a third public workshop, so be it, whatever it takes. But once an MOU, once we agree to this, and an MOU is signed between this University of Colorado and that program in the city, he feels it'll take 6 to 8 months to go through the process. So what we would be looking at would be going through this process this year, spending $2,000, assuming the cost looks good, and then we look at possible grant options and funding options. Then you go in 2017 with design, and then early 2018 you bid it and hopefully build it. I mean, so that would probably be the absolute best schedule you could look at. But I really can't give you a recommendation on going forward until we know about what it would cost. But looking at the square footage of what we would need, which is about 7,500 square feet, we'll look and see if going up to 9,000 square foot does it. It would be one floor. Look at the cost. With 7,500 square feet, you're looking at about a $2 million, $2.5 million project. There are some funds available out there. Mike's been putting some funds back from E911, and so we'll have a couple $100,000 in that. There's some other funds possible to upgrade dispatch, which would be $235,000. So with the land, we would get it appraised, so that would be a value of putting into the project, because that's what they look for when they're submitting grants. They rate you on, okay, what kind of match do you have? So we would have the match of the emergency services funds, which is say we're talking $500,000 or $600,000. Say the price of the land, 1.5 acres in that pretty active area, which should appraise pretty good. And so say that's another couple $100,000. So maybe we're up to $700,000 to $1 million in matching funds, just as what I told you tonight. And if it costs another $1 million, well, you can often find 50% matching funds. So it could be that the city doesn't have to put up much more than what we already have available. Okay? And that's all I have.
I'll schedule a workshop next council meeting?
Yes. Okay. And so what I'll do is I'll talk to Jeff Wood, who put this together for us. Is that right, Jeff Wood? Yeah. And ask him if he wants to come, and then we'll decide if we think an hour, 4:30 to 5:30, or maybe we ought to start it at 4 just in case. But maybe an hour is enough. I don't know what you all think. 4:30, 5:30?
4:30, 5:30.
4:30 to 5:30.
Better for me.
Do an hour, and if we have to do a second one, we'll do a second one. Right? Okay? Great. All right, good. That's all I have.
I guess the citywide cleanup.
Oh, gosh, I missed the citywide cleanup. Oh, yeah, number 4, item 4. Public Works Director Steve DiCamillo today came in and said that they would like to schedule the spring citywide cleanup on Saturday, Sunday, May 21st and 22nd.
Wonderful. Great program. Great program.
Was that the weekend before Memorial Day?
Yes.
Yes.
Good timing. Yes. All righty. Thanks, Ray.
Okay. Thanks for pointing that out.
Sure. Very important. Agenda item number 1, second reading of ordinance number 2016-01, a bill for an ordinance approving the rezoning of the property described as lots 17 through 30 and lot 34R, block 4, Highland View Addition, Cripple Creek, Colorado.
As this is the second reading of this ordinance, I'm just asking for approval from the commission.
We'd like to
Jerry,
first
I
time.
think it was all-
Any public comment? Make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2016-01 as written.
Second.
Oh,
Mr. Lutherland,
Yes.
Mr. Hazel,
Yes.
Mr. Ashworth,
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes. Good job, Renee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
Well, guys, that's all we have. We have one item and Ray's report.
20 minutes,
20 minutes?
20
I
minutes.
did not take 20 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Hazel took it.
I took a little bit. Thanks, guys, for coming out. Have a good night. We need to adjourn. Yeah.
I forgot you stuff for you to sign.